Jay here from Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm in the studio. We are live. So get involved in the chat and the comments and make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. And yes, we did it. We got to 750,000 subscribers. There you can see, with your support, a big milestone for the channel. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed to Stretford Paddock, who has supported us since the full-time Devils days, and especially since we took the channel over 4 years ago. It's been an incredible journey, and we do appreciate all your support. And the next stop, the next milestone, obviously we want to get to 800,000. Hopefully we can get there sooner rather than later. So a big thank you to all of you. Make sure you hit that like button, people. Loads of comments already. I'm going to get into that in a minute. We've got loads of stories as well to go through. We're going to talk about Mason Greenwood potentially coming back to the club, a couple of transfer targets, and what could be happening as well with someone who's just left Manchester United. Loads of comments saying about the 750k, Jakoya Trot, Akash K's in there. Hoytland, BMW Racing 1974. Great job, all the lads at Stretford Paddock. JH says 750k exclamation mark. Well, several. Nathan Hawker says morning Jay. Muhammad Ali says Wagwan Jay. Harry 3 says big up JM. Loads of people in the comments. We appreciate all your support and your comments too. Let's talk about Mason Greenwood then, because this is from our mate Alex Turk, who we know well, in the Express. He says 2 fresh updates suggest Mason Greenwood will play for Manchester United next season. And we can just see here from the story, if we scroll up a little bit, basically Mason Greenwood could feasibly report for pre-season training at Manchester United if the club's asking price isn't met this summer. Getafe may have made that outcome more of a possibility after reportedly bowing out of the frame to sign Greenwood permanently in the coming months. The 22-year-old forward impressed during a loan spell at Getafe last season, attracting heavyweight interest across Europe. Reports claimed Greenwood's preference was to remain at the Estadio Coliseum next term after scoring 10 goals and providing 6 assists in 36 appearances. However, a return appears off the cards due to United's lofty valuation of their former number 11, who hasn't played for the club since January 2022. According to AS, Getafe is searching for a replacement after United's desire to generate 34 million to 43 million from a sale took him off the table. It goes on to say here that it strengthens the possibility that Greenwood could land a blockbuster move this summer with Atletico Madrid, Borussia Dortmund and Juve all linked. But Getafe's stance also heightens the chances of United keeping hold of the academy graduate next season and extending his contract. He's got one of those deals anywhere. There could be a contract extension, a 1-year extension at the end of next season, I think. United reportedly could sanction Greenwood's return if their valuation isn't honoured this summer, as Ineos push to raise funds for transfer business. Now listen, I don't want to go over old ground here. We all know why Mason Greenwood isn't playing for Manchester United Football Club, and it isn't anything to do with his ability. In terms of his talent, he's one of the best footballers I've ever seen come through the academy. And I don't say that lightly. I'm old enough to remember the class of 92 actually playing for the academy. I saw some of them playing for him. I've seen the likes of Pogba and Lingard and Ravel Morrison, and obviously Marcus Rashford, and Greenwood is right up there with any of them. He's probably the most talented youngster we've had in a generation. However, it's what's gone on off the field which has caused the problem, and also the strange situation that United have found themselves in, and the way they've handled it hasn't been ideal. Now, we all heard the audio, we saw the pictures and the audio. We know that there was a lot on social media around it. We know that I think the police, what happened with the police case eventually, the case was, I think, was dropped on it. Eventually, it didn't end up going through. United then put out these statements. There was a statement from the club, a statement from Richard Arnold, a statement from Mason Greenwood that I presume the club signed off on. None of those statements I thought were particularly great. I'll be honest with you, I think one of them was slightly factually incorrect in terms of what had happened with the case. I thought another one which had bullet points on it was absolutely just proper distasteful and pretty egregious. And I just thought it was just a shambles the way it's handled. There was also this leak that at one point he was going to come back to the club. Adam Crafton, who we've had on the channel, broke that story that United were looking to bring back Mason Greenwood. We saw a huge backlash. Apparently members of the United staff weren't happy with it. Lots of prominent Manchester United fans, lots of journalists, even MPs were getting involved, pushing back on this. United then said, okay, we're not going to bring him back, and actually we never were. He went out on loan to Getafe. He's done quite well there. Now we're in this sort of limbo of, is he going to stay at Getafe? According to the Express, probably not, because he hasn't got, they're not willing to put a bid in for him. not for what United want. Is he going to come back to United? Well, he might have to, because he's still a Manchester United player. So Jim Ratcliffe spoke about this a few months ago, and he was slightly vague. He said you have to look at the club values. So that indicated that, again, it's not just his performance or his ability, it's these values. You don't usually mention values, not those kind of values, when you're talking about a footballer for Manchester United or for any club, really. So we don't know what Ineos' stance is. We know they're trying to get some money. I think the ideal scenario, and I've said this myself, would be if someone bought him and he moved on. I think that'd be best for him, best for Manchester United, because he's probably not going to want to come back to Manchester United after what's gone on there as well. It's not like the club have properly backed him, and he's probably feeling like that he should have been backed, because I'm guessing that's his attitude. The club obviously are reluctant to have him because of the backlash they've had, and because if they wanted him, they probably would have had him now. We've sort of kicked it down the street a little bit, kicked the can down the road by sending him to Getafe on loan. He's done what most of us thought he would do at Getafe, which is score goals and get assists. However, it's slightly odd because I don't feel like he's done well, but he's not set the world alight. I think if he'd have gone to Getafe and scored like 20 goals, he'd have more offers coming in. But he's done okay. He's done a bit more than okay. There is talk, obviously, of Atletico Madrid and Juve and even Dortmund, I think, in that story, being interested in him. That could be a solution to this problem. That could be a way of United getting the money in they want for him, Greenwood getting a football club, and everyone just moving on. However, we don't know if that's going to happen. And if it doesn't, then he's still a Manchester United player. Whether you like that or not, he is. So the club have to make some sort of decision. They can't just leave him. They've got to say, right, okay, we're either going to bring you back into the club, you come and train with us, or you come on pre-season tour. I know, and I can see already in the comments, there's a lot of people who will be happy about that. They either release him. I don't know how feasible that is legally. I'm not sure. Can they just release him? Can they just say, well, your contract's ended, off you go? I don't know. I presume if they were going to do that, they might have done it already. So I don't know if that's an option. They take a massive loss on him. When I say loss, I know he didn't cost anything. He came for the academy, but they cut their asking price. So they say to Getafe, all right, you can have him for 15 million or something, which is obviously well below what he's worth. But again, we know the reasons behind it. Or they try and send him out on loan again, if that is feasible, if they can do some sort of loan move. Now, unless I'm missing another option, I think those are the options that are on the table, the four options that are on the table. Unless there's a Juve or whoever come in and go, look, here's 40 million quid, and United can go, right, thank you, we'll have that. Everyone's a winner. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is going to be. I know everyone's sort of got an opinion on it. Psychedelic Man says, what would you prefer to happen, Jay? I'd prefer it if we sold Mason Greenwood. I think it's time for him to move on. It's become a mess. I don't think he's going to come back to the club and feel welcome. It's obvious that the reaction from the club and a lot of the fans, the way that has been towards him. He needs to move on. He needs to go play football somewhere. And I think that's what the best sort of course of action would be. Now, I'm aware, right, and I said this on Transfers Live the other week, me and Joe were chatting. This is one thing everyone's got to get their head round, and I think Manchester United have to get their head round. Mason Greenwood is going to score a lot of goals. He's going to. Mason Greenwood went to Getafe. You could see he was underweight. He hadn't played for a couple of years or a year and a half, whatever it was. He began to get himself fitter when we saw glimpses of the player we'd seen at Manchester United. I think he will kick on. I think he will get to those levels that we saw previously. And I think he'll end up having seasons where he scores 20 to 30 goals. You've just got to accept that. And you've got to forget about this FOMO attitude. Oh, well, we don't want him going somewhere else and scoring goals. He's going to. You just got to accept it and let him go and do that somewhere else. And you focus on either bringing in someone on that right wing position, or maybe you give, Diallo or whoever a chance there. I just don't think it's realistic to bring Mason Greenwood back after everything that has gone on. You may disagree. Fine, I get it. You may agree. It's up to you. That's my opinion. I don't have any say in the matter whatsoever. It's up to Ineos to decide what is happening with Mason Greenwood. But they need to make a decision. They do. Because you can't just forget about it, ignore it. And I feel like we just sort of, as I said earlier, kicked it down the street a little bit, and now it's time to sort it out. Tyler No Creator says, bring him back. Akash K says, Arnold made the situation worse. He did. I thought that statement by Richard Arnold was just terrible. And L says, I'd be happiest if he came back and Leach just... Oh, right, okay. Says and Leach just snaps into bits. I thought that was going down the route of wanting him back, but he wants Lisandro Martinez to injure him. Brian Casey says, morning, Jay. Congrats to everyone at the channel for reaching 750k subscribers. Well deserved. Now to get to 800k before the start of the new season. I like that ambition. Up the Paddock. Thank you, Brian, for your support as well. You've been a big supporter of the channel. Thank you to everyone that's got involved in the channel and helps us out. And don't forget as well, you can go and check out some of the other vids that are up there. Let's talk about some of the young incomings as well, because we can talk about Mason Greenwood. It's a debate that's going to rumble on until a resolution is found, however that resolution may come about. It says here, Manchester United appear to have their transfer sights set on Milos Kerkez. I think this is from the Standard, I believe, is it? Yes, it is. Thank you, producer Ethan. The Red Devils are expected to significantly overhaul their squad this summer, with Ineos and Sir Jim Ratcliffe now at the helm, having slumped to their worst league finish for more than 30 years this season. Left back is an area where United should definitely strengthen, and Luke Shaw and Tyrone Lassier's respective injury roles, with Fabrizio Romano confirming that Hungarian international Kerkez is a player they are currently monitoring. However, Bournemouth are expected to command a sizable fee for the 20-year-old, who enjoyed a fine debut campaign on the South Coast after a £15.5 million move from AZ Alkmaar in the Eredivisie last summer. I do think we need a left back. However, I do think Manchester United needs to do things in order of priority. That is how I'd go about it if I was in charge of Manchester United transfers. I'm not, but this is what I do. I'd get a centre-back first. We need a centre-back immediately. That is the one. As soon as we can get one, we need to get one in. We need a centre-back. We've just lost Rafael Varane. He's a first-choice centre-back. We've had so many injury issues around centre-backs. We had Casemiro playing at centre-back. We've had all sorts going on there. Johnny Evans, who looks like he might be staying, you can't rely on him to play week in, week out. Willie Camboala, young lad, Jory's still out. Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, I think one of them may end up moving on. I personally would move on Victor Lindelof. I don't think he's good enough. You may disagree. But I think we need a centre-back. In fact, we probably need two. And there's a lot of rumours and reports that we are actually going to go for two centre-backs. So I'd make that happen first of all. Go and get your two centre-backs. Then we need a backup striker. That has got to be another priority. We cannot just rely on Rasmus Højlund as our only out-and-out striker. Yes, we've got Marcus Rashford who can play down the middle. Yes, you can try Bruno in the false nine like we did at Wembley in the FA Cup final, but it's not ideal. You need another striker. We've lost Anthony Martial. You need another striker. So, centre-backs and striker, that would be my priority. Then I would start, probably the next on the list will be left-back. Then after that, I'd start worrying about right wing and other things, and some people suggesting maybe even a right back. Probably as well, actually. Probably. I've almost forgot. Probably throw a DM in there. In fact, yeah, I think actually the priority would be centre-backs, striker and a DM. I think those are the positions you've got to sort out first before you start worrying about anywhere else. Let me know what you think. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let me know if you know much about Milos Kerkez. I don't know much about him. You may. Daniel Berry says, centre-back, DM, left-back are priority. We have other players who can play up top, including Mason. Akash K says, Tosin is off to Chelsea after we wouldn't give him 140k a week. Sateka says, CDM is a must. Manchester Maverick says, think we need to sort the manager situation out first. Personally, Jay, yeah, we do, but we still need transfers. We need to know what's happening with the manager and with transfers as well. JH says, Taribo, Niasso, Silva, all below 50 million of decent options. Branthwaite, Gouet, not worth the amount we'd be robbed for. Andrew A says, imagine we actually have a season. Do you know what? Imagine that. Right, let's talk about Anthony Martial. He's left Manchester United. Where's he going to go? Well, it looks as though, according to Rob Dawson in ESPN, that he's going to go to Galatasaray. So it says Galatasaray would consider Anthony Martial at a lower salary. So if you scroll up there, it says Manchester United, Galatasaray are interested in signing Martial on a free transfer, but the former United striker will have to drop his wage demands if a move is to happen. A source has told ESPN. Martial is a free agent after 9 years at Old Trafford. How old is Martial? Let's have a look. Is he 27? 28. 28. He's 28 till he's 29. It's kind of sad, isn't it? It kind of is, right? The way that it's panned out. Because we're going to talk about Golden Boy nominees in a minute. Andy Martial, I think, was one of those, wasn't he? Anthony Martial was like one of the hottest properties on the planet when we brought him. Was it Monaco in 2016, whatever it was? Absolutely being revered and lauded. Everyone was looking at him, oh, this is going to be the next big thing. Came to United, had a very good first season, very good debut. I remember being at that game against Liverpool. Oh my God, it was amazing. When he scored that goal, obviously had a good season, scored the winner in the FA Cup semi-final, late in the FA Cup semi-final against Everton. Ended the season, I think, with 17 goals in all competitions, decent return. And that kind of summed up his career. It was like he never really got past that. I think he had one season where he scored 23 goals, other seasons where he barely scored any. He just never really got to those levels where you thought at one point it looked like he was going to be one of the best attackers on the planet. I genuinely believe that. And he was as a youngster. There's a reason why he was sort of so sought after and why United paid big dough for him and why he was in the mix with the Golden Boy award, because he was so good. And injuries just did for him. They did. There was that season where we brought Ronaldo in and he had a bit of a stink. He went on loan to Sevilla, didn't do anything there. I think he scored one goal in the Europa League. I think Julian Lopetegui was a manager there, and after his debut started slagging him off, saying he needs to do more. Despite the fact that Sevilla's social media team acted like they signed prime Cristiano Ronaldo the way they were going on about him, didn't really affect it, didn't help him. Came back to United, looked like he was going to get a second chance or a last chance under Erik ten Hag, did well in pre-season, then he gets injured, comes back into the team, scores some goals, then he gets injured again, just constantly injured in the 2 seasons that we've had Erik ten Hag as the manager, and he ends up leaving on a free at 28 years old. And it's really sad because we had such high hopes. I wish him well. I do, Anthony Martial. I know there's a lot of people that sort of are fed up with him, but I don't hate on the guy. Gave me a lot of good memories. Just didn't quite hit the heights consistently that he once promised to do. Akash K says, I don't understand why we loaned out Martial to begin with. Just a disaster move. It was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? Because I think we loaned him out when he was like 24. And he was a player who not long ago had scored 23 goals in a season. You don't tend to do that, do you? You don't tend to loan out 24-year-olds who were your top scorer not that long ago. It's a weird move. And I think the idea was he'll go to Sevilla, do well, and then we'll sell him. And yet he went to Sevilla and was such a disaster that it probably put everyone off buying him. But then the manager comes in and said, actually, you know what, I can use him. But then the injuries, again, it's just the injuries, isn't it, man? Talk about Manchester City. Why not? Got a City story revealed. This is, I think, in the Mail. At least 3 clubs, including Newcastle, sympathise with Man City's legal case against the Premier League as civil war brews ahead of next week's hearing. Man City will look to see the league rules thrown out with landmark case, English football close to collapse as Man City blow it up, writes Oliver Holt. And I think the clubs that are backing it are Chelsea, Villa and Newcastle. All believe that the champions have valid concerns ahead of a hearing on Monday. I mean, it's not a great surprise, this, is it? That Newcastle are a bit miffed about the rules and they want to sort of do something about it, because Newcastle have got all this money, but because of the rules, they can't spend it the way that other clubs have spent it. So there's a reason why Newcastle are joining the other sports washing lot and going, look, you know, we're not happy. We want to be able to spend all this dough we've got. Villa, I think, they might have a bit more of a different reason, where I think they've sort of tried to balance the books. They've got into Europe, the Champions League, and they're still struggling. I think they're in a position where they might even have to sell players. They might be looking at the rules and going, these rules aren't fair. Chelsea, I think, are having a complete and utter laugh. Chelsea have spent over £1 billion in 2 years, and they're moaning about the rules, about spending rules. Listen, they're lucky that they're allowed to spend anything. And I think they're probably moaning now because they've been badly managed, and now they're in a position where they've got to sell some players. I saw a piece, right, there's in the Times, and it said, with this whole City argument, about the hypocrisy of City and the hypocrisy of the owners of City when it comes to this case they're bringing against the Premier League. And we know why they're doing it. They're bringing it to divert away from these 115 charges they're facing. Maybe it's like, oh, well, these 115 charges they're facing, it's getting close to that, so decision time. I tell you what, you're not going to charge us, we're going to charge you. It's nonsense, right? So this piece in the Times, it says, the dominant sense today is the shameless hypocrisy of the owners of City. They said that they were investing in City because they cared about regenerating the area. Now, there's a big debate about that. They've regenerated East Manchester. Yes, they've done some good things in East Manchester. They've also had what I, also done what's called like gentrification, where I think a lot of low-income families are being forced out of their area, or they've not really done much in terms of housing for them lot. It says they now say that unless they get their own way, they are likely to stop community funding. So that makes a mockery of the idea that you bought City because you were ready to invest in that area. They said that the commercial deals were within the rules. They now say the rules are illegal. They said that competitive balance was important for English football. They now want to destroy it. They said they were happy with the democratic ethos of the Premier League decision-making. Now they hilariously say it's oppressive. None of that makes any sense. City have said all these things and are now completely contradicting everything they've said. Why? Because they don't want to get charged. They don't want to have any punishment for these 115 charges. It's obvious, man. It's obvious this is just a ploy to try and get out of that in some way, shape or form. And the old sort of argument that when City came in, City are ruining football, was one that City fans always push back on. Well, now City are taking a wrecking ball to football. I don't think the Premier League's perfect at all. I think the rules are flawed. But those are the rules that we've all been abiding by, or most of us have anyway. Those are the rules you have to live by. And now City is saying, well, actually, it's the rules that are wrong. So, you're not guilty. We're not guilty. You are. It's ridiculous. We'll see what happens. One thing we know about Manchester City, they have got unlimited funds, unlimited money, unlimited lawyers and legal resources to throw at this, and the Premier League haven't. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But it's just, for me, it's just a nonsense. And I'm not surprised that Villa feel that way because they can feel aggrieved. Newcastle again, Chelsea will know that's just nonsense as well. Let's talk about the Golden Boy nominations. You can see some nominees there. That's all. I forget about the top 4, is it? There's the one. Alejandro Garnacho. There he is. And also Kobbie Mainoo. They've been nominated. There's loads of, I think there's 100 in there in total, but they can see the top 10. Kobbie Mainoo and Garnacho in there. Would be great to see one of them win it. Personally, I'd like to see Mainoo win it. I don't think he will, to be honest with you. I think he'll probably miss out, but it'd be great if he did. He's had a fantastic season, and I'm hoping that he goes to the Euros with England. He's in the provisional squad in here. I don't think we've had a full decision on who's getting dropped. I think James Maddison is one of the ones that's set to miss out. I think as well Curtis Jones is too. I'm not sure about who else is going to miss out though, but I'd be fuming if Kobbie Mainoo was dropped, because I think he's had a very good season, and also when he played for England he was phenomenal. He got player of the match, didn't he, in his first full game for Gareth Southgate's side. So it'd make no sense to me if he didn't go to the Euros. Get involved in the chat and the comment, let me know what you think. Loads of people in the chat. Daniel Berry says Mainoo has to win it. Matt Wicks says Mainoo over Garnacho any day. Akash K says Lenny Yoro is there. We've been linked with him, haven't we? Someone says where the F is Cole Palmer. I don't know the rules on that. Someone else saying Cole Palmer's in his 20s, so there you go. Michael Griffin says Man City are the new House Lannister, crumbling from the inside, lol. They will get their own red wedding eventually, lol. I know was different, fam, originally. I think that's Game of Thrones, in it, unless I'm gravely mistaken. Yeah, someone's explaining that Cole Palmer was is too old for the Golden Boy nominations. Kevin Aitchen says, I'd rather Mason, I just completely messed up 2 words there. Said, I'd rather Mainoo took the summer off and had a good rest for himself. I get it, right? I get the idea that he has played quite a lot of football over the last 4 or 5 months, whatever it is. He's still he's not long ago turned 19. He's still a kid. But I think he'd be gutted if he didn't go for the Euros. And I think he'd actually do him well to play for the Euros. And also, he should be playing for England. I don't think he should be starting for England. He should. Henry Winter said it after the FA Cup final. He said Gareth Southgate has to take Kobbie Mainoo and he has to play him. And I agree, 100%. Space Ode says other clubs are making moves. Whilst we don't know who will be our manager, our captain, talking to other clubs, we still debate what we do with Greenwood. Well, it's a story doing the rounds, so yeah. That's why we're talking about it, but there is a lot of sort of things up in the air at Manchester United at the minute. Who is going to be the long-term manager? Is it going to be Erik ten Hag? I want it to be Erik ten Hag next season. I don't know if it is going to be. We're still waiting for Ineos to either stick or twist with the manager. Bruno Fernandes, we keep hearing these reports that maybe he's been offered to other clubs, that he could be willing to move. If we lost him, that'd be a complete and utter disaster, and I don't care how much money will be on the table. You cannot let Bruno Fernandes leave Manchester United Football Club. So we're in this bit of a quandary at the minute, aren't we? We're waiting to see what happens with the manager, what happens with the captain. Yeah, there's just it's the great unknown, and it's doing my head in as well. Akash K says Erik ten Hag wouldn't be on holiday if there was a decision on Erik ten Hag. He's staying. I hope you're right, my brother. I hope he is staying. I'm going to leave it there. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the comments in the chat. We're going to be back later on today with Off the Bar. Me, Joe Smith, Adam McCullough. I've been Jay Motty. Don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep going. Let's get to 751,000 by the end of the day. Thanks for watching.